Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We're here to help you eat better, feel better, look better. This is the first time I've ever done a podcast wearing a t-shirt, so I'm hoping that I do have 10 pounds to lose, but whatever, we're all good. And I wouldn't have gained those 10 pounds if I had met Dr. Maryam Dadkhah long before the summer, because that's when it all began. She is the Eatwellguru. You can find her at eatwellguru.com. And Maryam, great to have you back on. How's everything?
Everything's good. How's everything with you?
Very well. Very well. It's all good. I'd love to talk about supplements today.
Sounds good.
Things that you should be taking, things that you should not be taking. I used to take additional vitamins and things like that. I don't take anything right now, but maybe I'm like other people wondering what we should be taking. How about we define what are supplements?
So supplements are these, it could be the vitamins and minerals that people are taking, or can be all sorts of, let's say, herbal supplements. It could be some protein supplements. It could be like a collagen, some other nutrients that might not be essential that we have to get. And people take them for other reasons. Gotcha.
How do you know whether you should be taking a supplement?
So let's start with the generic supplements. So if someone eats a healthy, balanced diet, and when I say eat a healthy, balanced diet, is a diet that majority of it should come from fruits and vegetables, preferably fresh, then whole grains, then it has to come from lean meat, to some extent dairy, and healthy fats. So if people meet the guidelines that we know are based on these nutrient recommendation, then we probably don't need supplements. But in most cases, we American, we don't meet fruits and vegetable recommendations. We don't get enough fiber. We don't get enough whole grains. We are on all sorts of diet. And in addition to that, we might have some chronic disease, or we might live in areas that we might not get enough of nutrients. So all of those, when we look at a person, then we decide if they need to get supplements or not.
It's funny when you just said eating correctly and fruits and vegetables, right away my mind's like, yeah, that's great. I don't have time. And I know it's a cop-out, and I know I shouldn't be saying it. My life at the moment, I just can't fit that in, cook it, do it. And I think I probably echo what a lot of people are saying, which would probably mean that we should be taking supplements based on what you just said.
Exactly. And many times the supplements, so yeah, it's good to take like a generic multivitamin mineral. I'm not talking about the gummies. Most people like the taste of the gummies, and I'm not sure if they're taking it for vitamins or for any nutrients. I understand that if they have swallowing problems or chewing problems, so that could be a case, or absorption problem, that could be a helpful choice. But many people choose them just because of the taste, not so much because of the nutrients that they can get from them.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that. And,
sure.
And I totally hear what you're saying. Sometimes we take the gummies almost as a reward. Like, all right, take your gummy. There is some sugar involved in that. It is what it is. But are the gummies, aside from the sugar, just as good as taking a regular, one a day pill vitamin?
So many times they might not have all the nutrients in them. Many times they are just the vitamins in those gummies. With the pills, they are more balanced. They have most of the vitamins and minerals in them. And the difference is minerals are basically, they are elements. The vitamins, they are organic matters. So we need both of them not to be deficient.
Gotcha.
So that's how are they different most of the times.
And you just brought back a memory, so I'll share it real quick based on reading the label, which we talked about a few podcasts back, labels and everything. But I was taking supplements, and I'd say, just a vitamin. And my friend comes over and he's like, do you realize you're taking a woman's vitamin? I said, oh, okay. So I am. And I'm reading the bottle. I'm like, what's the big deal? He goes, are you kidding? You're not getting what you're supposed to. So I guess to that point, you got to make sure that you are taking what you should be taking.
True, but we should also look at it how big of a difference it makes. So let's say one big difference probably between women and men is the iron supplement.
Right.
Most women have some sort of iron deficiency due to their monthly cycle.
Mhm.
And men don't get that. So because of that, they might not have the iron deficiency. So if they get more iron, does it hurt? It might. But I'm just saying that, but hey, you can get a multivitamin that is for women 50 plus. So then the iron might not be present.
Right.
That being said, it might not be that much of a difference. There's probably a little bit of a difference, but how much it makes a difference, we have to look at the label. So yes, let's get back to the label again.
Okay, back there. And I think my friend was just, he was busting on me, and he's like, you're going to turn into a woman. I'm like, no, I'm not.
No.
At least I'm taking something, right?
Exactly.
How do you know what you should be taking? Should we just, if we feel that we're not eating correctly, and everybody's going to know that they're probably not eating the right amount of fruits and vegetables and the right portions and everything, just because of busy lifestyles, whatever it might be, is it safe to assume that, yeah, okay, just take a multivitamin. That's going to take care of it. At least you're doing that. Does that make sense?
So yes and no. So if we want to dig more, we can do some labs, and labs would help with some of the nutrients. The problem is, though, is many people just rely on a blood test or urine test. And with many of the nutrients, we have more than just blood tests and urine tests, and one blood test and one urine test. So they might need to measure it in, let's say, hair and nails and saliva. So, and then with many of the nutrients, so the doctors might just go for one element in your labs to rely on. But then it's complicated more than that. So let's say with iron levels, that was one example. We do have one that we look at iron storage. We look at the last stage of iron deficiency anemia. So I'm just saying that it's a little bit complicated to do it with the labs. We can combine it with asking people what they're doing. But then again, if I ask you and assume that that's what you're eating, let's say one day might not give us enough information. So I need to look at over time to figure out what you're eating. Another problem is with many of the labs. So people look at the sodium, they said, oh, you're sodium deficient, you need more salt. It's not always the case. So sometimes lab just show what you've done the night before. It doesn't show what you're doing over time. And then many people, let's say a week before labs, they might change their diet to have a better number. Mm-hmm. But with so many of the labs, it doesn't show 1 week, it shows 8 weeks, it shows 3 months. So
gotcha.
Great question. But I'm just saying that we have to combine these data to go with it. Another factor is also the medications, labs, other health history. I give you an example. If you're on a higher side of the weight, or if you have some sort of inflammation going on, you might show iron deficiency. So it might not be specifically related to bleeding or iron intake. It could be related to these other health concerns that we have.
Gotcha. It's funny you say before somebody could have sodium deficiency. I almost find that hard to believe because everything's loaded with salt. Have you ever encountered somebody that doesn't get enough salt intake?
So again, we have to look at the full picture. So let's say I can give you an example. I have some patients that they get chronic diarrhea, meaning that they lose electrolytes, meaning potassium and sodium, along with water on daily basis, a lot of it. then the sodium can come down, and it might show that they are deficient, and they probably are because they're losing more
Gotcha.
than what they're getting. Then they might put them on sodium pills to compensate for that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, never even thought of it that way, but absolutely. It's the same thing when you're sick or you throw up or whatever. You become dehydrated, and you have to make sure that your water intake is good enough because you lost some so fast.
Great point. So that's why you see in athletes, let's say marathon runners and things like that, they keep giving them the water with some electrolytes in it, especially if the weather is warm, especially if they are working out, let's say with marathon, it's hours and hours and hours. So they need to replenish those in storage.
Sure.
Otherwise, they can faint.
Yeah, and for the rest of us that are a little athletic and let's say working out, I would assume too, you got to be careful what you're taking because you might go for that sports drink and think that, oh, this is great. And it's, not that many calories, but it's also got a lot of sugar in it, along with the electrolytes.
Right. So that's a great point, because there are not only those sports drink, there are also so many supplements in the market. And many of these sports drink or supplements in the market for athletes are actually studied and made specifically for athletes, which they work out hours and hours a day. And they need it for these reasons. They are not made for regular you and me working out this many minutes a day or a week, right? But many people go for it thinking that they're going to make a difference. They don't realize the big difference is these people work out for this many hours, and it's very scheduled and instructed, so they know exactly what they're doing. Whereas you and me, we might not have that much of training and practice and things like that. So we might not benefit as much as an athlete.
The same thing if you reach for a protein bar, and there's some out there that, mega protein, and it's got 30 grams of protein, and it's almost 400 calories, and it's loaded with carbs, and it's got sugar. All right. For somebody that is training for hours and hours a day, it's okay. If you look at some major athletes, if you look at their calorie intake, you'd be like, oh my gosh, 5,000 calories. How did you do that? Well, because they're working them off.
That's so true. So yeah, we need to know that, let's say in a human being, in a regular person that is not an athlete, when you work out, your protein requirements hardly goes up. The one that you basically need for any workout is carbs first and foremost, not so much of protein. So all these people, and then part of it, Steve, is the supplement industry, the sports supplement specifically, is like a 20-something billion dollar industry, and it keeps growing every year. So they make huge money, and they bombarded all of us with how good they are and how protein is the best nutrient on planet Earth. So many times we get more calories, we go up on weight. At the same time, we're working out, we're thinking the weight should come down, but we're basically counteract the effects of any calorie burning that we might have to some little extent at workout. We just keep adding all these other supplements, thinking that we're adding the good nutrients.
So we're talking supplements today with the Eatwellguru, Dr. Maryam Dadkhah. You can find her at eatwellguru.com. So my question is, fish oil. Used to take it. Somebody told me that was real good for you. Definitely in terms of your heart and circulation and things like that. Is it?
So again, we have to look at intake. The fish oil is an interesting concept, and the reason behind that is a group of fats that we call them unsaturated omega-3. We do have unsaturated omega-3 that we can get it from nuts and seeds.
Sorry, what kind of seeds?
From nuts and seeds, right?
Look at that.
Right. But here's the catch. The ones from fish oil that they probably would get most of it from algae is different in the sense that it's a different category of omega-3. So our body needs to turn that nuts and seeds omega-3 to the fish oil one to use it for so many health benefits. our body's capacity of converting it is so limited.
Wow.
So if we don't have fish and seafood 2 to 3 times a week, let's say 4 to 6 ounces at each time, we might also become deficient in basically that type of omega-3 that you get from fatty fish.
And somebody told me too, the same person, that if you're going to take fish oil, take the premium, because you're just wasting your time. It costs more. There's a couple of different brands out there that can come to my mind. Nordic Natural was one. It's going back. I haven't taken it in a long time.
Okay, so that's a good point. I actually took that one, but I bought it thinking that's a better one, but I tell you what it is.
Okay.
So here's one thing that you need to remember with the supplements. Supplements are not regulated no place on planet Earth. So they can claim this is what it is, and you can get something totally different. There are few seals that the supplement producer can voluntarily submit their supplements to these places so they can check the label, and they check the pills, the gummies, whatever, and say what is in the pills is on the label. And in some of the drugstores and places, they might be more expensive if they have these seals compared to not having these seals. Other places, they might be similar. There are three of them that is reliable. One is USP, one is NSF, the other one is CL. I get my supplements from Costco, and they usually have USP.
Oh.
And it could be Costco brand or it could be other brands, but many of their supplements have the USP seal on it.
And that, just to reiterate, make sure we're clear on it, it means it's a seal that says what it's saying is actually in the container.
Right. So you don't get anything beyond that.
Okay.
I got the Nordic ones, and I liked that because they had NSF, but there was the catch that I didn't know until I bought it. I saw it when I was ordering it, but when I got it, the NSF was only to certify this product is gluten-free. So it was not for the whole thing saying that, hey, and it was an algae-based algae-based omega-3 that I got, that I know that is a precursor for those fish oil, right? So when I got it, and I was hoping this is really an algae omega-3, it was just to say that it's a gluten-free one.
It just drives me crazy. Like I feel like I got swindled. I got taken because my friend recommended it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this got to be good. And you just assume.
And here's the thing. So there might be, so they said if it's the brand that you know and you rely on, and I know that people spend lots of money on supplements. Let's say they go to Whole Foods and these health store and Wegmans and those places that they have very expensive items. But hey, your old Costco have the USP ones and as reliable. And many times it's the cheapest one on the market.
Thanks for sharing that. Why pay more if you're getting the same, we assume, because it has that seal on there, which is saying that, you know, it's a genuine product. They're not trying to play games in terms of the labeling. Right.
And it can be significant, especially in, let's say, herbs and things like that. Many times people don't realize that supplements can hurt. So liver and kidney function is an issue up to death from many of these supplements. And we need to watch very closely and don't take hundreds of supplements that is not prescribed or required. We do need to take supplements. So you and me, we are on a line from California we're on top of that line from California to Pennsylvania that we don't get enough sun. We do need to get the vitamin D. Otherwise, we're going to be vitamin D deficient. And it's given. I still have patients that they come, oh, I have vitamin D deficiency, and they think that's just them. They don't realize that 100% of people that living in this area, if they don't take supplements, they do have vitamin D deficiency. Because the main source of vitamin D for us is sun. The food items but you have to have a lot of food items that has vitamin D to compensate for that.
Now you're saying vitamin D, correct?
Right, vitamin D.
So milk products would be that, but you don't want to overdo those either.
That's true. The fish is another one.
Huh.
Let's say there are some mushrooms that they might have it. They might also add it to the foods. But if you look at how much they can provide, it's nothing close to what you need on a daily basis.
Really?
Plus that you have to get a lot of calories with that. So that's another. So, hey, yes, you have to drink a gallon of milk to get it. Hey, we're already dealing with weight issues, so let's not make it more complicated.
Yeah, but I had no idea. And I get that, we don't get enough sunlight in certain areas of the country. So you are going to be vitamin D deficient. And then you think, oh, I'll have a glass of milk, but
right.
What do we know?
And one other thing that complicates that, Steve, is also the sun exposure and skin cancer. So we do have the guideline says, hey, you need to have sunblock. You should not be exposed to sun for this many hours. So I'm just saying that having this supplement becomes our best bet.
Interesting. Okay, and I'll share with you, I stopped taking fish oil a number of years ago because I got a nosebleed, and it.
Oh, you did, yeah. To know about that.
Yeah, and because it thins out your blood. I don't think I was taking too much, but maybe I need to cut back on that a little bit just because of my chemistry.
And so you have to look at how much you were taking, right? And if you are taking some other medication, so some of the people that they get the blood thinner, so we cannot put them on fish oil, or we need to watch very closely.
Sure.
Also, fish oil can be prescribed as a medication. We know that it's big with bringing down the triglyceride, which is one of the bad lipids that we might have.
Yes. That's right. I forgot about that.
Right. In many cases, we can prescribe it to help bringing down the triglyceride. But just imagine if you're on a blood thinner and now you're getting more fish oil, then it's going to be a disaster. So I'm just saying that it's not as easy as we think. So many times we should communicate with someone that knows what they're talking about before taking these supplements.
Absolutely. So can I ask, Dr. Dadkhah, what do you take on a regular basis? What's your go-to?
So on a regular basis, especially when it's overcast and winter months, vitamin D is definitely my to-go. I'm also a big fan of fish oil after vitamin D, but I don't take them on daily basis. Both fish oil and vitamin D, they can be stored in the body because they are fat soluble. So one thing that I do, if I don't remember to take them on daily basis, I might take them a few days a week, but I might go higher on the doses. The other one that I also might take here, there is a generic multivitamin mineral. But again, I'm not everyday kind of a person. It might happen a few days a week. And I can tell if I need them. If I see that, hey, I hardly can move, it's winter months, it's overcast, I know there's something is missing. But hey, I don't recommend that to people. So I do come with this knowledge and everything that I think that's probably the case, but it's not something that everyone should do on their own.
Gotcha. Hey, real quick, now that we're mentioning it, how do you know that you're deficient in vitamin D? What are some of the signs?
So there's some studies that they might think that seasonal affective disorder can be related to sun exposure, and part of it also can be the vitamin D deficiency. I usually think that is probably the case, especially if I'm off of it for quite some time. I think that it is going down. And I'm in Virginia, I work indoor. If I'm gardening all out and about, but then when I don't, I'm indoor those 3-4 months. And I can tell that my energy level is down the drain.
How interesting. Yes, we do know that seasonal deficiency disorder, I think it's called, right? Yes.
Seasonal affective disorder, yes.
Yeah. We know it's a real thing, but I never thought that, the vitamin D deficiency can make you feel like you're just, you don't have energy, you don't have, pep in your step.
Right. So they call it like a sun vitamin. So I'm just saying, this is how I deal with it.
Interesting. It's funny, before we even started today, I was wondering, can we really talk for almost a half hour about supplements? And you're like, yeah, we totally can. And we pretty much did, because there's so many different things that it encompasses, whether you should be taking this or not taking that. Fascinating. I got to go home and in my cabinet, I have so much in there and I never take it. It's probably outdated. Like a lot of other people, you buy something, you try it, you haven't used it, it's, you got to be careful.
Steve, NIH has some good resources, and you can go to my website on the resources page. I posted both of them. Has a resource specifically for vitamins and minerals, and another one for these herbal supplements. And then we can check to see what the evidence says, what the study says. And many times they collect all the recent studies, research, and suggest you, hey, if it works or not. So let's say one big deal is the turmeric and inflammation. Everyone's taking it these days. We hardly have that much evidence to show it works. And many times these things might not even work because, hey, that substance, that chemical that is active in turmeric is very volatile. So you basically don't even keep it in the supplements. But people think that, and then many times the studies is a totally different approach, and it's controlled. We know what we are getting. It's a supplement that we know that we're giving this to patients. It's totally different than just taking over-the-counter supplements from anywhere and everywhere, right?
I want to share one final thing because you mentioned eating fish regularly. So I have a friend and she does bodybuilding competitions and she's amazing. She lost like 160, 170 pounds. And now she does these competitions and she has one coming up usually like twice a year. So I saw her about a week ago and she said, yeah, I've been having fish like 3 times a week. And it has changed her skin. Like she's like, it does. Like what a big difference. I had no idea that makes that difference as well.
It does, because they go in a cell membrane. So that's one of the fats that is important for cell membrane. So yes, it can make a big difference.
Wow. All right. Look at this. Time for fish.
I know. And hair too. Just so you know, some of the hair loss is also connected to the fish oil.
Interesting. Wow. Dr. Maryam Dadkhah, it's great having you on. So much information. And this is so vital because, I don't want to use the cliche, but we are what we eat. And we should be eating the right thing and getting the right supplements and the right vitamins and minerals. If somebody wants to work with you, they go to eatwellguru.com and
correct.
Set up an appointment. Is the first consultation free just to learn about what you do?
No, but I take majority of interest in this area. And then I set my own appointments. So if they leave me a voicemail or email me, I can always get back to them and then we can start there.
Thanks for the reminder on the insurance, because I always forget about that. And you're paying for insurance. You might as well get somebody that knows what they're talking about and has the passion like you do.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dadkhah. And I'm going to try the fish oil again. I'll let you know how that goes.
Sounds good. Don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it is right. All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.